Why is there a need for a human body, a human being, a soul, a spirit, whatever we are, to awaken? Why is there a need to become enlightened? You see? Behind the scenes, there's a personal need. And it's very simple. When you're born into as a child, as a baby, everything makes sense. Everything is as it is. Everything is absolutely pristinely real and perfect. So we're born into a sensical world as a sensical form. And then we spend the whole of our lives trying to make further sense. And it becomes nonsense. And the moment you take on your name, you consume the information, the more nonsense it gets. So the mind is a vacuum. It is a representation of consciousness, and it will take on as much information as it needs. And the mind needs to destroy itself. So it's like that animal that can't stop eating, and it eats and eats and eats until it dies. It knows it's going to die, but it's going to eat and eat and eat anyway, even though it's not hungry. So we expand as this nonsense. All of this is nonsense. All information, all what we store in our brain is complete nonsense. So there's a need for some who actually, as the baby, gets a sneak preview, a sneak look at what we truly are if we get rid of this nonsense. And you take on a role of Ramana Maharshi and you deny every piece of nonsense, even the idea that this body is yours. You remove all the nonsense, and there's an awakening. There's a moment. There's a revelation, and that revelation doesn't mean you've attained something from a child to an adult to the realization of truth, of reality. It means you've went back to the child, and everything is seen as sensical until the mind, in its daily occurrence, in its momentary occurrence, says, well, yeah, I can show you things, I can tell you things, I can introduce you to things, I can open up things, I can do most things for you. Just give me the word. And you say nonsense. You make no sense to me, mind. You make no sense to what I truly am. And that's the purpose of enlightenment. Otherwise you can end up taking all this nonsense on your next body or your next journey, or you can reach a stage of dementia because the mind has engulfed the brain too much that it says, I can't cope, this vacuum is full, I'm going to have to shift some of it onto the brain and cause some neurological malfunction. So you've got no choice unless you have a sneak preview, unless you have that moment, that deep longing that says it cannot be as nonsensical as what I sees it at. I sees it as. And so you remove the nonsense. Nati, not this. And you continue to look at the nonsense, and you continue to stay separate from the nonsense, and you continue to abide by the law that religion makes. Follow the spirit within, because you were born as that spirit and you veiled it and masked it with nonsense. That's all enlightenment awakening is. Namaste.